Alright, did you know that polymorphing can be easy? I'm going to go ahead and create a Druid real quick. I'm not going to show you all the details because my other one video had already shown how to go about creating stuff. Just going to pop him up and set him to level 4 so he has some of the wild shape capabilities, just to show, you know, what I do when I make a Druid, or if I make some wizard with polymorph, or any of the other spells that that extension polymorphism supports. I'm going to go ahead and pick a few spells, and probably I like to experiment. I'll probably show something with grappling later, so I'll try and make this guy a grappler, which will show off some other stuff. But for now I'm just making a basic low-level Druid. I had already had some portraits in here from experimentation. That's why you saw it right there. And I'll just pop them back into the party sheet with a drop order for the faction drop. And pretty much drop them in, have equipped effects do its magic on ensuring all the stuff is in there. And you can't get any of the polymorph effects to show in your screen, on the action screen, or the main page for an NPC, until it's on the combat tracker, which I'll always call CT. So anyway, he's in the combat tracker, he's on the map, and I'll go ahead and you'll see me flip between tabs a lot, because sometimes this little extra screen doesn't show until you flip between the tab, where you see the polymorph screen up top. And it'll only show if you have you know, one of the supported traits or spells described in the forum, in the text file in the forum, which I'm not going to go over everything in there. And I'm just going to drop a few legal NPCs onto this guy so he can turn into him. Basically, you'll get chat messages when there's something illegal, or you can go into the options and turn it off so that it doesn't even check for a wild shape. But that's something for you to figure out. Essentially, I'm going to go ahead and change him into a quick tiger here, and you know, I might as well have Risky ride the tiger, so I'll go ahead and have him. Now that's natural extensions there that allows me to get overlapped stuff. Very handy extension. I went ahead, this is Carrier doing this. He's basically dragging the name onto the CT entry he wants to be carried by. He's not able to move because of the options there. I can make him the driver, which allows him to then pull the whole thing, or shift around. But essentially I'm going to make him invisible here so that only the tiger's going. He skips his turn. He no longer gets a turn when he's like that. And I'm going to try and kick him off, but he's not allowed to because the guy who's the carrier didn't unlock it, so I go ahead and let him dismount himself. Now I look and I say, why is this guy invisible? I know that I set this guy to the visibility he was when he got off. Well, some of these PCs can have a visibility set underneath them, even though you don't know it, and that's why that happens. So just to make sure, I'm going to go drag his name over the actual map, another way to do it, and turn to visible, and then kick him off of there, and make sure that, yeah, see, now it works okay, because, you know, he had a visibility that wasn't apparent to you in the CT. Again, you don't need to know the details, you can just click and turn into things. But if you need to know the details, don't ask me unless you have to. There's plenty of version documentation, and that's why I stick it out there, so I don't have to remember this stuff. I'm just kind of flipping between a few things there. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a changeling, just to say that yes, there is a shape change. There's all sorts of options, traits, features. Again, it's in the documents. But I wanted to show you that the changeling there's no reason you should use the shapechanger option in polymorphism. You don't need polymorphism to do a changeling. All you're going to be doing is dropping the asset, the icon, over his face. I mean, that's pretty much all a changeling is. You don't want to do overly expensive things to support something just because it's there. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you I'm creating a changeling. I'll show you I can put the shapechanger, which for a PC expects to find that keyword under features. Again, per the document. Stuff you don't really have to pay attention to, because most stuff you're just taking as the spell becomes available or the feat becomes available, and it goes into the correct place that I expected. So I've made this changey guy. Again, I had already played around with it, so that's why you see the token there. And I'll go ahead and just show you real quick that, yeah, it's got a shape changer keyword in traits, but that's not where I look for it in a PC. I do in an NPC, it's under traits, but again, it's wherever the default usually sticks it when you drop things in. So I'm going to go ahead and create a shape changer in the features just to show you what would happen if I did it, but I can only change it into another PC. I'd have to make a really specialized PC, which, you know, it's just not worth it. Why would you bother? Now, I forgot to actually hit return on the shape change that it just entered, so it's actually still not entered in the database. I'll discover that in a little bit. And essentially right now you can't get any of the polymorphism stuff, like I said, to appear unless he's in the CT. And I'm just doing my normal stuff to get him into my world in the sheets and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go flip the tabs and say, wow, where is it? Why isn't it there? Well, I'm going to go back to the abilities and suddenly realize I haven't hit return there yet, or tab, or whatever. It just hasn't gone in. So there it goes in. Now if I flip between the tabs, it'll be there. And of course, there it is, but why the heck would I want this and making an NPC that somehow represents this guy? I don't. It's a waste of my time. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to create this guy as a normal character. And whenever he wants to switch, and it says he likes to be in a non-wispy state that you see in his portrait. So I'll go ahead and just stick some guy out there. And that's just showing Aridho's stuff, the supplemental data I use, automatically figuring out, hey, there's this thing here that I'm going to throw out there because it's specific to this guy and there's many conflicting things, so it has that weird name. Again, nothing you have to pay attention to. I'm lazy. I don't want to pay attention to it. I just want it to be there for when I want it informationally or to do something. So here I'm just throwing the asset over his face. That's all a changeling would be. Wouldn't waste time with polymorphism on that. Now, things like Curse of Strahd or Strahd have very special things that you turn into, and you would want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and take a werewolf and show you what I did to make the werewolf use a shape changer. But I basically had to make 3 copies of this from the D&D manual. You can see where he has all the different stuff in there in one sheet. I could do the same thing I did with the changey guy, but for the purpose of showing you how you do complex things like, you know, Strahd or something like that, you can make 3 of these guys. So what I do is I copied 3 versions of this and edited each one. I then put the Wolfie Not Me, which is the human one, where he's got only those things, like here, the werewolf. It's only got werewolf stuff in it. I just went in and edited it and deleted out everything that wasn't werewolf, and then made sure the token was for the werewolf. And he doesn't have anything to turn into, even though he supports shape changer, because that will cause bad things to happen to polymorph if you try and polymorph into something that has polymorph stuff assigned. So don't do that. Anyway, I'm going to create the wolf and the werewolf, just raw NPC versions of them, and I could have just used the other ones that are standard for those NPCs, but you know, I'm making special ones, so I have to put the human in there, and then I will in the CT, and I build things in the CT and then delete them out of the NPCs and put them back in the NPC list, because that way they have all the special database stuff that maybe extensions expect. But essentially I drew the 2 guys who weren't him and dropped them into their changing stuff, And so he can basically change into either of those shapes and, pretend, hey, I'm just your guide, I'm just helping you along. And suddenly the moon comes out. You say, oh, he's turned into this horrible thing, and I changed the faction, and, he goes on the attack. Or he's just part of the party, he stays green, he just, that's who he is. I mean, I can't see, you could do this with a PC also, but it would be more difficult. So if I had a player playing a werewolf, I'd probably just make something like this and have the player control him.